Shalom, Salama, Siemi, Shalom. Greetings to all my Israelite brothers and sisters from around the world. Whether you're the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the house of Israel, or you are a Gentile grafted into the house under the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach, we welcome you this morning. And by the way, Yahushua HaMashiach is just the Paleo Hebrew transliterated version of Jesus Christ. For those that may or may not have known, want to reiterate that because on the continent where the original version of Hebrew was spoken, you see that popping up. That is the not so open secret, but if you really press the scholars will say that that is where Hebrew originates. If you did press Rome, the Pope, they would say that too if they would open up that they promised that they would open in 2020. Surprise, surprise, it's not open. Secrets are being hidden. And who do they target? Well, they mainly target us, especially those that have been targeted in the transatlantic slave trade ushered in by the dumb diverses. It is history. I don't want to spin my wheels on that, so I would invite those to look it up and visit bhitb.com. That's Black History, where Minister has extensively collected the information and it in a very digestible format. Him and his uh, research scholars, his assistants, have done an awesome job providing that information that someone just has to simply pull. So, for those that are on out there that want great scholarship in terms of what we say that we are, that we claim that we are, well, there's history that supports it, and we invite you to go to that website and read all about it. And you'll be reading about it for months, years, and possibly decades. Why did I go into all that? Why is that history so important? Well, right now with Quest to Unite Africa, we're seeing history being made on the continent. And that history is being made this week. But before I get started, this is part of our Q2UA Discussions on Friday, where we ask that you continue to support the Quest to Unite Africa mission. We are providing resources. We're forming associations for supporting the work on the continent. Economic development and critical infrastructure goes way beyond machinery. It's time is in the womb. It's in the time that a child is learning, expressing creativity through arts, which then carries over to your science, technology, education, and mathematics. But in order to have that, you need to have arts and literature and other developmental standards that provides creativity. And that's what we do in our education department. That's what we do in our medical department. The machinery is one aspect, but the development starts at birth and even before birth. This is why it is important for us as we continue to support the mother newborn kids. So that's one of the things that we do. We're getting ready to also do a corporate prayer, excuse me. We that will be later on this month. We are finalizing the dates for that. And those that will want to participate and support the prayer, because with Quest to Unite Africa, it is a faith-based charity where prayer is power. And there is power in calling on the name of our Heavenly Father. And at Quest to Unite Africa, we believe his name is Yahuwah. I mean, you say hallelujah, but you spell it with a J. I'm just saying. Someone explain that one to me. But these are the things that I want to really kind of express this morning. How we see things that's blatantly obvious, and we have things that are dismissive because it's blatantly obvious, but it's just been labeled and packaged to the masses as, well, it just is. And why that conditioning of it just is has become the form of oppression ever seen in the history of this world. And why the it just is framework is no longer being accepted by the masses, especially on the continent. In the West, the concept of it just is has created a nightmare, because when we read and when we study and when we look up sources and when we verify those sources, and those sources have scholarly, definitive, the concept of it just is gets destroyed. And it becomes it just is something that you have to recognize. And now that recognition is in full force because nations are recognizing what it is that they have been subjected to, much of the same way that we have recognized what it is that we've been subjected to here in the West. And we're not here to point fingers at who is this and who is that, because at the end of the day, for wicked things to occur, for injustice to happen, I would say, me personally, that there is lying on both sides of the fence. Those that willfully, we have that on our side of the fence too. We have our folks that try to decry that, nothing is wrong. And if you think about it, we often will see that with the house Negro mentality that still pervades in our society to this very day. And now, truthfully speaking, they are in places of government because that's where they're placed to influence. So you have that concept. And then on the other side of the house, you have the concept of the entitled that have been told that the disposition of the others that are not of their ilk or stock are in a great position, are better than what they have on the they came from in life because they have all the opportunity here and they are force fed the lie to then repopulate the lie, force the lie. And then as the resources from that lie dwindle, then they realize that they themselves have been lied to. Yes, I'm sorry, family. I've had some internet issues today. So, yeah, please forgive me, family. When you go through a hurricane, that's going to reverberate. And I've had internet issues with things since last night. So, thank the Most High I didn't have too many issues during that hurricane. But yeah, now it's starting to kind of be disrupted. And so that's just what happens. If it gets too bad, I may have to shut the live down because I see it on my part too. I can actually see my internet just kind of wonky. So So going back to what I was stating, you have those that understand the lie but enforce the lie, and those that don't realize that they're enforcing a lie. And the ignorance is what has allowed for that lie to be pervasive. And when people are sick and tired of the lie, they do something about it. And then when they do something about the lie, then you see them rejoicing that the lie has been exposed. And those that have benefited from the lie say that the people aren't behind their liberation. And then you can clearly say that the population has been very, very thrilled. They rejoice. They rejoice because the lie that had once kept them in derision, that once kept them confused, that once kept them at the lowliest places. Now that system has not just been challenged, it has been replaced. And that replacement, that cycling of replacement is now being reverberated in other countries where that system has been firmly established for centuries. And now, look, to be honest, personally speaking, I was with Ministers Teyu and Yakoba when they had said something about Nigeria. But I believe, personally speaking, I believe Nigeria is that Western dominated stronghold. Will they do the bidding of the West? I don't know. Because now, here's the problem. Now there's a regional shakeup that is happening all on that continent. See, you have to understand that just because you believe that you're in power doesn't mean that you are truly in power. This is what happens when you have a puppet dictator government. And these puppet dictator governments are no longer in power or being empowered. And that power comes by the gun. So if your gun gets taken away, your gun says, you want to know what? I'm finally going to grow a conscience here. I don't care about the threats. I don't care about who's going to come for me. It has to be now or never. Because here's the thing, now they see the winds of change. And the winds of change, it's not stopping because who's inspiring that? My personal belief is that's being inspired by the Most High Himself. Because why? Because ain't no such thing as a 400-year prophecy. Just saying. Visit Tail Ministries, their shop, to get that shirt. I'm just saying. Also, please visit Quest 2 Night Africa. We're about to get our shop up. Our shop should be available by next week. Hallelujah. We can get hats, mugs, mouse pads, shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies. Please visit quest2nightafrica.org. That shop should be available sometime next week. But while you're waiting and your eyes are feasting, we also have the popcorn fundraiser going on, as well as the cookie dough fundraiser. So going back to that, now the West is learning puppet leadership, leadership by puppetry is not as stable as it once had been. And as I have stated on my channel, Covenant Awakenings, countless times, I believe that you now see the winds of change happening globally, and that winds of change that's happening is really a direct reflection of Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. And now there is a rival on the continent. Because here's the thing, and I see the comments also, family. Yeah, Russia, France, and Belgium. Here's the thing. You have to ask, where are they going to land at? What country will they be used by? Or excuse me, what country will they use? I'm going to tell you like this. If they don't feel safe and wherever they're basing their troop presence in, whatever area, they're not going to do anything. And I'm going to tell you this, Gabon literally proved they're not going to do anything. Because why? Because they don't want another nation being knocked off that they had puppeted. Do you get what's going on? Do you see the backlash that's happening? And that backlash, it's real. Shalom, brother Michael.
Shalom, brother. How you doing this morning?
Oh, I am I'm blessed. Hallelujah. All I could do is just give the most high praise. That's it.
You're right, man. That's the best way of doing it. For everything that's happening, whether it's good or bad, give him glory and keep it moving.
Yep. So
Yeah.
so so today we're doing a recap of what was going on this week. I know we had spoke with our brothers and sisters last night. I wanted to find that article or that clip that had showed someone in Burkina Faso talking about repatriation efforts of the diaspora, particularly African Americans, because that really
Mm.
intrigued me.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm for all my internet slews, my warrior slews on out there. I know usually Ninja Firewolf will get on out there and dig up those links.
Mm. Let me ask you something. Um,
Yes.
when do you wake up, Karis?
I don't know if I ever go to sleep. No, I'm just- oh, not last night. I didn't go to man. I think
It
I
was rough
slept.
last night, bro.
Oh,
It was
last
rough
night was
last night,
rough. It
man.
was, these next couple
Mm,
days are gonna be rough. Oh my goodness.
man, because
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna go through all the details, family, but brother Karras is going through some things, and you know what? And those things are most high allowed. So I'm not going crazy. I'm not, losing my cool. I could have, but know what? Listen, with all these trials everywhere, I thank the Most High. I thank Him for these trials. It's not easy coming up here on a daily basis. It's not easy doing the work with Quest Unite Africa. Because here's the thing, you're going to get thrown down. You're going to go through bumps and bruises and scrapes. You're going to go through the backstabbing. You're going to go through all of that. If this were a regular job, I'm going to tell you this, I probably would have quit about 2 months ago. Truthfully speaking, I probably would have quit about 2 months ago. But I also understood what the Most High had me to do here, because this is his organization. And when there is opposition that comes, guess what? I just give the Most High praise. And then it's the Most High that shakes things up, that takes care of things. Because it's the Most High that always exposes. We're seeing the Most High shake things up on the continent.
mm,
Little old me, look, I'll be okay. My little inconveniences, I'll be fine.
hmm, yeah.
But but what that does say show is that, man, we're moving in the right direction, family. If you're not on out there going through something in this very day and age, you better check yourself, because everyone should be going through a trial, because you want to know why? Satan, Hasatan, and his minions are busy. They are on overtime to save their kingdom. And anyone or anybody talking about its fall and seeing what's happening on the horizon is getting dealt with by them, by those demons and those demonic forces. Absolutely.
Mm,
Because we're not waging war in the flesh, it is all supernatural. And if you don't realize it's all supernatural, look again on tell me what's happening on the continent. You
mm,
can't say that. You can't say that nothing's happened. These folks are scared, because you want to know why? Because now, like I had said, now you see Belgium, EU, and France. No, it's a lot more than that. You're going to probably have Spain in there. You're going to probably have the Netherlands in there. You'll probably have the Germans in there, of course. and maybe the Danes. Because why? Because the energy sources that France has powers the EU.
Mm, mm, mm.
We had said this, we literally said this last week, that they have to go in. They absolutely have to go in, but I believe they're trying to go in, but they're being delayed. You don't want, especially look, think it as a military commander. I don't want to put my troops in somewhere just to have the troops overran. Because how are you going to get the basic life support if they cut off water, if they cut off electricity, if they keep sabotaging your food supplies, your food sources? You can't stay there. Doesn't matter how many MREs you bring. And that is what they will have happen. And they see it. What happens if your government isn't stable to support those operations? And they're looking at that. They're not able to do what they had once done. And now that is a grave concern because if we had these wild swings in the weather of it being extremely hot, what happens when the weather gets extremely cold? We're talking 10 degrees Celsius or, -5, -6, below zero.
And it get colder when you're inside of the house.
Mm-hmm.
It's colder. I
Yeah.
mean, if that's if you, I mean, if you don't have electricity, it's colder
Bingo.
in the house.
Bingo. Because what does that concrete and that sheetrock do? It insulates.
Mm.
And that's what's getting ready to happen. And the more that they want to do it, have you seen how the Most High just stifles them? And why is the U.S. involved in this? Well, simply because that's going to affect us also. Those in the United States, it's going to affect us. Because why? Because I believe as these gas prices have gone up, make no mistake, the gas prices went up as soon as the Niger coup happened. Did anybody take a look at that? Did anybody understand those correlations? Why? Because they're now shipping gas over to Europe, to the continent. They won't tell you that they're doing it. They're doing it.
Hmm. Well, I mean, my thing is this: now they shipping gas over. Now, what happens? It gets to the point where you can't afford to ship gas over. Now you running low yourself. I mean, you're dealing with two nations that are very, very selfish.
Well, of course. And I that's that's the setup. That's what's happening. That's the setup. Well, the setup is, well, if I can't get gas from you, then I'm going to get gas from Russia.
Wait a
And
minute.
Russia,
Wait a minute. When you say from Russia, who you talking about getting
that's
gas?
I'm talking about how the Europeans will think.
I mean, they
I
trying to
mean,
get gas. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
think about it. They already get uranium from the Russians. Everything is sanctioned except for what? Uranium.
Brother, the dumb thing I'm seeing is on that, what you just said, is that that's like me depending upon you to supply me and my family with food every month. But
Well,
I'm talking negative to you. I'm trying to get a war started with you, and you know what I'm doing against you.
yeah, doing that while we're fighting at work. You're
Yes,
right. While we go to work fighting, I'm going over to your house taking food.
yeah, that's the thing I'm looking. And you can cut me off at any given time. How is it that you can plot against me and then talk about me at the same time while I'm feeding you?
Hmm.
Yeah, you may see me send me some money and things of that nature. But that's the thing I'm looking at, bro. This is just blowing my mind. The the European lands depend upon other countries, Africa top dog, for its resources.
Hmm.
And like what you're saying, bro. Here we go. All of these coups popping up. And now, back in the day, you go back 10 years ago, you hear about coup in Africa. First thing that come to your mind, man, some country went in over there and started some war in Africa.
Hmm.
That was the first thing that come to our mind. Now you're saying, yeah. And the reason why I asked you about your what year, because, bruh, seeing all this stuff happen, you got to be beyond blind not to see that this is Yah's hand. And for the ones that may be blind are the ones who do not even attempt to study scriptures.
Hmm.
Those are the ones that's absolutely totally blind. You got these leaders over there, Bongo, his son, asking the West to shout, make noise. But then at the same time, when they took over the country, they pulled out suitcase. Um, Man, it looked like a movie, Karis. If you looked at Redacted, and they had the video showing all of that money in this man's office
Mm-hmm.
being a puppet for the United States. Then he had US money and francs,
Mm.
and while the people are living hand to mouth. Yeah, and this is the thing. They wasn't pillaging the money, and they're just taking all the money. They was literally recording this, and they looking at the people outside. Why is our people looking like this? Why is our people not being fed? You got all this money here. You destabilizing, was it Libya? They paid him to go up there to destabilize Libya. Now, and this is Karis, explain destabilize to me as a 2 year old.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, being, just being used to mess things on up. That's a
Mm-hmm.
shame. Being used to mess things on up. And now that reckoning is really here, and that reckoning that's here, yeah, I understand the comments where, white supremacy tries to take both sides of the argument, but that paradigm, right? those dia those Hegelian dialectics, those red herrings, they're not working anymore. They're really not, because they've seen the outcome of what they've been fed. I mean, truthfully speaking, that's what it is. They've seen the outcome, and now these outcomes that the 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 ones that live in these countries that have been oppressed,
Mm-hmm.
look, we do not want to, you know, be under this type of oppression. And so, I I look at it as, greed. People had tried to justify greed as the end all be all. I mean, in our society, we have in the '90s. Oh man, we glorified greed up
Oh
until
yeah.
about the 2010s. Really greed wasn't had really stopped being glorified. Up until really about the pandemic starting. And that was like, well, you can be as greedy as you want to, but you can't take that money with you to the grave. So those um those particular situations had happened, but now I believe it's a desperation, right? You get to the point to where you can no longer even live or sustain yourself or your family. What good is it? You're just that's just the whole thing. You get to the point that you have no choice but to fight. Because if you don't fight, you're just gonna die anyway.
Now, when you say
That's
fight, are you talking about France?
I'm just talking about in general.
All right, all right.
Oh, France is gonna get there. That's what I'm trying to tell you. France is gonna get there where it's gonna be like you have no choice but to fight because you're gonna die anyway. Because you imagine you have millions of people starving.
Hmm.
Imagine that you have borders being, shut off or tightened.
But what do you think that war? What do you think that invasion would look like?
I want to say it's an invasion. I'm just saying, look, this is going to be what's going to happen when you have food and energy insecurities. It doesn't come along to France with just energy. It's also food. These are foodstuffs that's now being logistically challenged. It's now energy that's being logistically challenged. So if you don't have the gas or electricity to do what you need to do, remember all their stuff is like on wind. All their stuff is the green energy. And green energy can only take you so far. You know what I'm saying, Mike? How
Yeah.
how they gonna really, they're gonna get their bikes, their motorized bikes and put a card on it. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna
Motor
rig up,
motorized bike,
and
cold weather, and that battery drains
no,
so quick.
that's exactly what it is. And
Hmm.
not just motorized because they want to do green, but you're gonna be patting your bike and below zero temperatures, below zero temp. I remember when I lived in New Jersey, and man, it was a winter of 93.
Hmm.
There was a storm that nor'easter tore things up. I had to walk. My brother and I had to walk over to our grandmother's house to help shovel out her driveway and walkway. That
Hmm.
was it, and let me tell you, that walk was about 15 minutes. We only lived like less than a mile from my grandmother.
Hmm.
That walk was 15 minutes. That walk felt like pure hell. You understand when significant emotional event to just an ice covered street
Hmm.
to you know uh, uh, layers of ice on top of shoveling, as a teenager, and then feeling the impacts. You're not going to be able to do that and sustain yourself like that when you're an adult, let alone with limited power. You know what I'm saying? How long are you going to be able to run on that kerosene heater? Well, you're going to
Hmm.
have to do what? You're going to have to limit how much you're using that kerosene.
Or need a barrel inside your
You're going to
house.
have to limit. Yeah, yeah, exactly. The little propane barrels, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if you don't have that full, right? I'm sure that's what people are doing right now in France. They have to stockpile. Because why? Because they know that they're being threatened to be cut off. So they have to stockpile.
Hmm. I
That
remember
is
when it got
why I
down.
believe. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, brother Mike.
I remember when it got down to like 50 degrees below zero. It's a couple of years ago, and I was gonna stand, but and I told me I had made a schedule with this company to go do a job, and everybody shut down that day. I I put on a whole lot of hoodies and everything. Stepped outside. I'm cool. I walk up. I gotta walk up the alley to my. I mean, you talking about? Man, it's a very short distance, dude. You remember this commercial? Well, it's not a commercial. Um, you realize you just made a terrible mistake. And when I stepped out there, bro, when I say this, it was extremely cold,
Mm-hmm.
extremely cold. I literally had to stop there, put my head in my coat, and breathe in some warm air. And
Mm-hmm.
I stood there for like 2 minutes because I'm saying to myself, man, I shouldn't have done this. I ain't lying. I was saying I should have done this. But once I got my bearings together, I got to the truck and I was surprised. My truck was like vroom, 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 and it started. But I mean, my motor was knocking. I said, man, I got to do something here because I got to go back. And so, when my truck started, it literally took 2 hours for my truck to warm up.
Mm.
But I said to myself, never again. If they're saying
Mm-hmm.
this 50 below zero, bro, let me tell you something. When I say I was showing my son, we stepped out on the back porch and I took some hot water and I threw it up in the air. It turned to ice before it hit the ground.
Mm-hmm.
That's how cold it was here. It was just that cold. And now, France, and I mean, I know you were saying that they weather get like ours. Um, I hope the brothers and sisters are seeing this and hearing this and putting themselves in a position where they can weather the storm.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I hope that they're doing, because you may have some brothers and sisters out there that say, well, they need to go on over there and invade these countries and get us some heat. And I hope that's not the case and that they have that mentality, because they don't understand how much blood they're asking to be spilled of their own brothers. That's what
Mm-hmm.
they're asking, because we as well as them, hmm, brother, we living off of troubled times of our brothers there. But now we seeing this change, and you look at other channels, they be going in, they go
Mm-hmm.
in. Oh man, we okay. You be like, all right, we need that 501c. These people here, bruh, they will show this world for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And my thing is this: hey, let them do it. Now you don't have to believe me. You don't have to believe Teo. They telling you what the world is doing. Like now, they talking about an invasion of hey man, what is that country name again? Um, the island, Haiti,
Haiti. Yeah.
Haiti. Now you got brothers over there, and these people, they did an interview. They literally went over there and did the interview, talking with gang leaders. You know, and how they came together without the West interfering. They came together and they said, no, let's stop all this. And they said they was working towards peace. They said, don't get me wrong, there was some area that was still fighting, but the fighting was dying down because these brothers came together to work on peace. But here it is, you want to destabilize it. You want that anger, you want that hate, you want that killing. This is what the West is saying. Now, but the West stand back like a guy in a nicely pressed suit, looking all smooth and clean, but stand back and say, hey, we need to destabilize Haiti. We need to bring in all of whatever nonsense that we can bring about. We need to maintain that on that continent. We need to make sure that it stay destabilized.
Mhm.
That's what they're doing. That's some demonic stuff. That's very demonic. It's just like me going over this D Griffin house. Now this is my neighbor, Sister Benetta Jones. These are my neighbors, and I'm causing trouble for this person on this side of me. To the left of me, I'm causing trouble for the person on the right of me. This is what I'm doing. I'm causing trouble for these households, and I'm going over to Sister Benetta, gossiping to her about Sister another sister, and I'm lying, and I'm going over her house doing the same thing about her. This is what the West been practicing for hundreds of years. That's all they done. But now these two sisters, they start talking. Girl, I never said anything about you. And she come in, I never said anything. I never had no ill will about you. But you
Mhm.
looking at now, you looking at the person in the middle who started all of this stuff.
Yeah.
You see, and that's where we at, are we not?
Yeah, absolutely. Because people are now talking. People can now, the internet has done a lot in terms of advancing communications. Right. We probably have some brothers and sisters in the chat from on the continent right now, listening on in, and that's a good thing because why? Because now we're informed of what's on the ground. Brother Minister Rick, shalom.
Shalom, how you doing? Yeah, I was just listening to your conversation and thinking about what you say. All goes back to Babylon, Rome. Rome, divide and conquer, divide and rule. So whenever you see these divisions, I've noticed even this such a thing as the so-called generation gap that I'll see. Like it was a program I think Yakoba had on where a young man came on. I think the one where they were talking about TCA, and the young man had said, "What? Are you over 50?" You know, as like that was a thing. You guys are over 50. Nobody has a gap but us. Like they have generational wealth, uh, generational hate, generational racism, generational white supremacy passing. But we're talking about there's a gap. No, there's no gap. You have to respect the elders, and the elders have to look out and invest in the young. And when you have that loop feeding back on each other, then you have a healthy culture. But you know that that's the enemy, and that's the Gentiles. That's their thing. When the people that come in, the Bible talks about seed and division. That's the one. And when we see it in our midst, we know where it's coming from.
Yeah, I understand
Absolutely.
that, man.
Well, yeah, and that's not just a tactic that was used in Rome. Obviously, that's a tactic that's done today. And again, the tools and the mechanisms of those tactics being employed is through sanctions, right? If you don't come to acquiesce to our terms, then you're going to be sanctioned, you're going to be toppled, you're going to there's going to be some sort of action used against you where you end up missing. How many African leaders had ended up missing, and um, body parts being sent back to their nations, to their governments.
Only here
Um,
in the only here and in Africa. That's when the majority of your leaders
yeah, so
came up
so
missing.
that's where you have um, this particular generational um, that has occurred here in the United States, because it's like, well, they're just always destabilized, and that's not a fair assessment. That it's, well, they're just always destabilized. No, it would be a fair assessment to understand, why have they always been destabilized? What was the outcome? What was their goal? And now you could see, look, their outcome and their goal was to always be able to control the wealth of those nations that they had either destabilized, you know, and now it's quote unquote stable, but it's stable for the purpose that, they don't have resource control. So even though they are quote unquote stable, the people there, they have no food, you know, that this is
Well,
what's been going on.
they thought they were going to maintain their puppet show to the end.
Hmm.
And this is the thing here. And as I look back now, uh, at the time that they were sacrificing civil rights leaders, at least the ones that had a heart for the people, they were assassinating them. They were assassinating the African leaders, the rebellion leaders. So it was the
Hmm.
same. Now that we see the big picture, we see it's all part of the same. It's separate things, but there's no difference now. And the puppets are getting the puppets that were empowered are being taken out here. Over here, we have a quote unquote more civil society, but we got puppets in what, the Congressional Black Caucus and all these people, the Boule and everything. Those are the puppets over here, and we have
Hmm.
to throw out the puppets and organize on the grassroots. Well, just really just regard them. Like I say, don't buy into this system. Don't be voting yourself, voting for your oppression again, and just let it go. Just build from the stop trying to build a pyramid from the top down and bring up the people.
But they use a lot of this country use a lot of black uh, singers, entertainers to push that agenda for the political realm. I remember one time there was one entertainer got on the radio and talking about, and he was complaining about black people not voting, and he was calling people stupid, stupid A's, and all that if you don't vote. And I'm saying to myself, no matter what president is in office, it's not one of them was for our benefit. Not one. We just managed to get through those 4 years. I don't care who it is. Reagan, we managed to get through. Trump, we managed to get through. We managed to get through because Yah said, I will not totally abandon Israel.
What you talking about? We have a two-party system. We
Man, if
got
you
the
sit
we
right here
got
talking
the
about
we got
two-party
the we
system,
got the overt racist party and the covert racist party. Don't pretend like you don't have choice.
yeah. Yeah, you got a choice, all right. You
Yeah.
got a choice. No. But I
Well,
mean, I'm sorry, go ahead, bro.
Well, now that you're saying, what it is that's being seen, and we're not the only ones seeing this. We're not the only ones talking about this. This is what's being said within our community, right? And if it's being said in our community that we're seeing this, now they're seeing this worldwide, because this isn't just something that is done to us. We have a little bit of a nuanced approach. They have a different approach, but it's still the same. And so now my question is, what are they looking, I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to say this, they, and let me qualify they as, the Western nations, are they looking at that they no longer have the dog and pony show that they once had, and they can really start they're starting to see that deterioration in front of their eyes. And what will they ultimately do if, push comes to shove, that they cannot, maintain full control, right? Because you would think that there would be some sort of negotiations. You would think that there would be, something to create, a mutual respect, right? That's what everyone wants, is a mutual respect. Respect my stuff. You know,
Esau going to Esau. Esau going to Esau. He got to do it. Got to do it.
Hmm. But I mean, if you look at the events lately, everything is negatively against all of the people that have came up against Africa. I mean, it's like a given. I mean, they're looking at things. They're seeing people. They're seeing these brothers rising up. We can take care of ourselves. We know how to monitor ourselves. And I'm quite sure they recognize the technology dilemma that they may have, but they're willing to take that up on their own terms. That's what I'm seeing. They're willing to take that up on their own terms. And then with this heavy influx of African Americans choosing to move back to Africa, that's not helping. That's not helping the West's agenda at all. It's not. All it takes is one African American to go there and get into the politics and really truly move in a way that is for the benefit of Africa, that'll set everything in place. Everything starting to move in motion.
That's Judah. That's prophesied, and
Yeah, that's prophesied.
we're agitator.
Yes.
And but you spoke earlier. The whore of Babylon, for her skirts got to be lifted up. It's exposed before she's deposed.
Now
She's
she don't need to lift her skirt up because I don't want to see all that now. That's kind of nasty, bro. I don't want to see all that.
well, the scriptures, you want to talk about that. So it is what it is. But
Yeah. I'm just messing with you.
we're going to. But that speaks to us because there's a void that we're going to have to get in there and build that infrastructure.
Oh yeah, I mean yes, and I think it's happening. I really believe it's happening. And for the people, the Gentiles that's listening, this is the whole reason why we say, hey, this is just not for us. This organization, and you know it, Rich. This is for believing Gentiles too.
Yeah.
This is for them too. The scriptures clearly states, yeah, the Gentiles will be saved. Israel must be saved first, then the Gentiles. And so my thing is this, hey, if you're able to save your money and move your money around to benefit your family, your life in a spiritual sense should be priority. If you can move money around, you should be able to think about, hey, these people are they telling truth. I see a rising of the black race, and this appears to be the most high willing. So I mean, once you step back and look at everything that's happening, you think Gabon is the only country that's from Niger? No, it's going to be a ripple effect. They're going to see. It's going to be a domino effect. They might want to hang that one up. Now, this is the only issue I would have with that is, how would France come in when you got another country that says, hey, we overtook this country? Another one. Gabon is old news now. Niger's old news. There's another country they're kicking out France. And I think the top dog may be hey man, what's the name of that country?
Mali?
No, not Mali. Right next to Malawi. Right next to Malawi. A lot of gold is there.
Congo, DRC.
There you go. There you go. I think that right there is the mother lode. If the Congo turns around and say, you know what, we tired of the West, we tired of, kick them all out. I think right there, Karis, I think that right there is when you talk about the needle breaking the camel's back, put that needle on that camel back and go ahead and break it.
Well,
Oh
the
yeah.
French have like they got like one or two aircraft carriers. They don't have the scope. They would have to be the whole West backing them to come in, because they don't really have the scope to do that. They had a foreign legion of people in there, and then Wagner's still in the mix, and the prophecy says that our enemies are going to flee 7 ways from us. So there's a spiritual element in any type of fight at this point. That's the curses. They come in one way, they're going to be fleeing 7 ways. So it's no real military. They got spirits moving against them, the prophecy moving against them, and the people rising up moving against them. In terms of the Gentiles, I'm looking for the Cyruses. They're people. There's Gentiles. There was a Roman soldier that was very good to the Hebrews in the Bible. I forget his name in the scriptures. I'm looking for those types of people coming up. But in this society here, so whether racism so overt, I don't, it's hard to see those people. I know they're out there, but we're not seeing them, and we're not seeing them come out of their pockets that we know of.
Well, and I think, and I want to address that because I think, to be honest, I believe, just as you had said, Minister Rick, I believe that there are Gentiles that are out there that want to support, that see what's happening, that want to, be involved. But I believe that they get backlash from their families
Mm.
just
Okay.
as
Okay.
much. You
Mm-hmm.
see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
the
Yeah.
N
get
word
back.
lover.
You get what I'm telling you? It's like,
Okay.
well, you know, well, you want to help them. Why you want to help them?
Well,
You
like
need to
that
help
white guy in
us.
Alabama that tried to help. You remember what they did to him? That white guy that
Oh yeah, they
originally
start
came in,
fighting him. Yeah.
and they started to fight him.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, listen, you can help, but you just have to help monetarily. Okay, that's what we ask. Put
Yep.
your money where put your money where your mouth is. Y'all,
Yeah.
sometimes,
Let your dollars do the talking.
yeah, you don't know if you. We don't know whose enemy, who's friend or foe, right?
No, I
So
was talking about there was a white fella when the hillbillies were beating up the black man. He tried to intervene on the black man's point, and the hillbillies beat him back.
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Because here's the thing: these white folks understand that they will get policed up also by their own people.
That's true.
So that's why I said, look, I don't want our people to just say, well, it's just going to be all white people. Well, not really. It's this. Folks understand, righteousness and wickedness, but we're in such a system to where really the wickedness has overtaken everything, that even those that want to fight for righteousness, they'll get killed first because they're deemed, a race traitor or anything else, when they're just trying to say, look, what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. But
Mm-hmm.
remember, race was always the construct that they brought into this to justify wicked deeds. And if you don't believe me, then you better find, there's an article, you can Google it right now. There is an article that this week the Pope was saying that the ideology of conservatives in America does not conform to biblical teachings. And this is the Pope.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on. Say it again.
The ideology of conservatism. Pope speaking on.
I see. Is he froze?
No, he ain't
No,
froze. He looking at it. He looking it up.
no. Yeah, Pope said,
Hmm.
I'll drop this link in the chat.
Well, the scripture says that the dragon was cast to earth. He said he's coming after the woman that birthed the man child and those that believe on his name. So the dragon's coming after us and the other folks that believe because of it. They're thrown right in.
Hmm.
They're targets as well.
Well, you have to be. It's funny because when HBO did the, or not, I think it was, excuse me, I think it was Showtime. They did the John Brown miniseries. But when you actually, because I lived in Kansas, grew up there. Oh, now I got the hiccups.
Bleeding Kansas.
His whole family believed that they were saving black people because they were the children of Israel.
Okay.
Actually, read what the history books have on him. And when you're there in the libraries there, they give you the actual truth of what's said because it's on account. Remember, when they do things, i.e., Hollywood, they're going to nicely leave out those convenient details.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
But go ahead and read a few books on John Brown and what John Brown, why he was so adamant. Remember, before he started even fighting, he was a minister. He was a preacher.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Now,
And that's why he was fighting. He was literally fighting because he's like, I read this in the word. I read this in the scriptures. We enslaved the children of Israel.
and it was him and his sons, right?
It was him
John
and his
Brown.
sons. Yes.
Yeah. Then we got a movie, King. You ever seen that movie?
I may have.
It's about a,
I,
runaway slave. His name, and he ran into John Brown, and so he started fighting with him. Uh, I ain't gonna necessarily call it a low budget film, but it was pretty good. But
mhm.
they had his, portraying him.
Yes, I saw.
Yeah.
Yes, I saw King. It came out like
Uh,
2020 or 2021.
yeah,
Yeah, it
exactly.
was. Yeah, it was kind of low budget, but
Yeah, 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 yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, I see what you're saying. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. And I don't want to generalize this or, let me just tell you this. In America, many white people hate John Brown.
They always show him as this wild hide in all the pictures and depictions. He just
Hmm.
make him look totally crazy.
Oh, he's totally crazy. Yeah, he is demonized. He's still demonized, and he literally caused the Civil War.
Yep.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And why did he cause the Civil War? They don't, and they don't like to tell you what it all goes back to, where he was saying, look, he believed that he was fighting for the children of Israel that were in captivity. Listen, family. That's what I'm saying. You have to read these books. You have to read these history books. Because when they give you, they'll say it's an adaptation, right? And then they'll say, well, they got to get out of captivity, right? But they don't understand why they're using that word captivity. They got to be out of slavery or out of bondage, but they don't really tell you what that context is, right? They try to lose that context, and then when you read that book, oh, that's what he was saying. Oh, that's what he was meaning by that.
They don't want you to connect the dots.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
just looking at this, at where we at right now, at this particular day, and let's go back. I think it was last year. Last year, this time, um, that's when the brothers in Africa. It wasn't no coup going on. There was no nation talking about kicking out the West, but they was kicking out religion, Catholic religion. They said Jesus. He's not white. They was burning all the pictures of Jesus Christ last year. Now this is just last year. Now they went from religion. They was talking about we need to get rid of Islam and Christianity. This is
They
what
did
that,
say that. They did say
yeah,
that. Yeah, absolutely.
you
Yes.
know. But now, Karis, what I'm saying is this. Let's just take what these brothers were saying. They started this last year.
Hmm.
Look where we at this year.
Oh, that's why I said, look, this thing is dynamic. The dynamics. Look, you go from week to week. Actually, you can't even
No, you can't.
you
No.
you can't even go from week to week. It's like daily.
Mm-hmm. You
It's
got
daily, and we're not we're not just being blindly we're not blindly looking at this. I think that's the best word. We're not blindly looking at this. We're looking at it. And this is the time that we actually have to stand up and do something about this.
mm-hmm.
It's increasing exponentially. And because we study the Bible, it's like we're looking at this movie in real time, and we got the screenplay in our lap, and we're just looking. Oh yeah, this is the adaptation. It's the adaptation of the movie. We're seeing it played out in real life.
So
So you,
now, but the question I have is this: what is it going to take for Judah in Babylon to really, I mean, to really uh, come together? What is it going to take for us to say, "Hey, we here, we woke, we together, we got one line, we got one understanding"?
Mm.
well, I think it is happening, but the thing is, we again we peer at the top of the pyramid, and we we major in the minors. I mean, these outlying people, the things, we get that's the thing. They get into battling these urban apologists and all these people like that. When the people on the grassroots are really close to what we're saying, you have to hit the streets. It's like terrorist soldiers. You got to put troops on the ground.
I don't think it's going to be troops on the ground, and I'm talking about in that sense. I'm thinking it's going to be some more supernatural, um, something that's going to be uh, it's going to be something that's going to get your attention. It's going to get your attention because you got the brothers over in Africa. You got countries over there that are, you know, that are turning against these foreign leaders who's coming over there just taking stuff as they go. We come in like one of the presidents said a European person can come into Africa like it's he walking in the backyard. Boom, come right in. But an African going into another country, he said it's like brushing the teeth of a crocodile. And so, yes, why? And he's asking the question: why is it that way that we have all these stipulations upon our brothers and sisters, but a European can come in with the breeze of the wind and walk about like it ain't no thing. He walks about or she walks about. I just cannot be touched. They know who I am. They look at my skin. They know not to touch me.
Well,
Well,
remember, it's the ideology of self hate. That is a worldwide ideology, especially on the continent. That's what they have pushed. That's what they promote, and they promoted that. So, I mean, even with a lot of these countries um, that have had traditional and historical ties with colonization from the West. Oh man, I'm getting some major feedback. Is that is
I
that
think that's
just me?
Rick. No, that's Rick. Rick, you got that noise going on with your clicker or something?
no, it shouldn't be. Oh, that may. The That's a dishwasher. I can go to another room. Um, what you were saying, brother Michael, uh, when they started burning the pictures of white Jesus, that was the thing there. See, you were seeing it happen then. That whole thing of I am the face of God, and when that's
Right.
gone, and when that's gone, so now you're seeing it less and less. But that was the thing. They
Right.
want
I mean, but
God
but
because they I think it's the book of Maccabees said they have depicted their images in the temple. They have
yeah,
placed their image in the temple, which is what they've done.
and I believe, yeah, I know what you're saying on that, and
You know,
go ahead, bro.
yeah, go ahead, Mike.
No,
Go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Mike.
No, go ahead. I will say something else. Go
But
ahead.
yeah, so I was gonna say this in terms of like the visa requests and things of that nature. Different visas, right? You have Europeans that give you in Western nations, you can get a visa request very, very easily.
Hmm.
Compared to other African nations, right? We've experienced that. However, right, when you're trying, visas are one thing, residencies are another, and that's where residency permits, especially for other nations, and let's just face it, for other groups of people, it becomes a lot easier for them. So these are the things that we are recognizing and understanding. But to your point, Mike, real quick, and then I'll move back. I'll move this back to you. When you say what are we telling people around the world, or our people around the world, to wake up and see what's going on? Well, the the comfortability, right? Because the more you're in comfort, the less you have to worry about anything. And so then here's the thing, what's been happening right now, especially around the world, especially here in the West? Well, you're having more uncomfortability because why? Because now you're seeing a lot of the resources and the resource constraints happening. You see it on the shelves in the grocery stores. You see it in items that you're trying to have shipped, right? Supply chain issues, that's what they try to call, you know, resource constraints, supply chain issues, right? It's going to take you about 6 weeks instead of the regular 1 week, to get that item. Well, why is that? Because things are being constrained. So now, when you have constraint at the level of where it is uncomfortable, and then that uncomfortability then becomes pain, right? When you reach the level of painful, that painful is when you start to see people reacting, and pain is literally the manifestation of what the physical environment is perceived, right, in your head. You get what I'm saying? They say, look, all pain is mental, right? No pain, no gain, right? Those types of things. So when you see that type of pain that is afflicted via lack of resources, when you see pain inflicted because it's cold, shock, or you have shelter, lack of food, lack of clean water. Well, guess what? Then people are going to start asking these questions. Why are we? Why is this happening? What has been going on? Right? And the more that painfulness occurs, I believe, this is just my personal opinion. Look, people are going to have no question but to ask those tough questions. See, they don't have to ask tough questions per se. That's not, we're not in that realm. But when
Hmm.
you have to deal with $16 a gallon gas, that's a difficult realm. If you have the bricks influencing, you know, how we feed ourselves, and bread is going to be $500 a loaf, then that's going to be a realm, because if bread is that, then what's going to be the rest for food? You're going to have to be a millionaire just to grilled cheese sandwich. These are things that we have to understand, because this is what happened, during um, the Great Depression. and all the foodstuffs were, provided by really the government, local government, charities, churches, things of that nature, so they could have the soup lines.
Mhm.
So, or you would have a co-op. And at that time, our people were still really, out and about on the fields. And guess what they do? Just feed themselves with the produce.
Well,
I asked
well,
my grandmother
So,
about that, man.
yeah.
I asked her about that. How did she make it through the Great Depression? Thing. They were showing all people eating out the garbage can and everything. Man, let me tell you what my grandmother said. She said, we didn't have no Great Depression out there in the country. We ate from the field. We ate what we grew.
well, you hear a lot of our people and this generation say, "Well, we didn't have no money, but we weren't hungry."
Yeah,
You know,
that's what my grandmother said.
that's almost universal.
She said,
But
Hmm.
when you have these cities that are based on this currency and based on this Babylonian system, you may get what a better example might be Weimar Republic Germany, where hyperinflation. See, we haven't seen that because the petrol, low key, the petrodollar has run out of gas. The one thing that made the dollar valuable is just going kaput. And Saudi Arabia joined BRICS. So then nobody said, okay, the paper really isn't worth what it's written on. We just haven't had it, So now you need to exchange it while there's a perception, because it's nothing but perception now. Where there's a perception of value, you better get the things that are needful so you can get wealth out of the ground. That, like you said, food out of the ground, wealth out of the ground, power out of the ground. That's what we need to do. So, and the Most High, He allotted land. It was all about land. You
Hmm.
couldn't keep. He said, "I own all the land," and He made sure everybody had land. And even if your crazy uncle lost it and something like that, 50 years, the year of Jubilee come, you
yeah,
got it back. So
you got
land was kept in people's hands. So what we have to do is we've been fascinated by this fake, these IOUs, this green stuff, and and we have to get back to thinking land. Like Brother Michael, you see what our backyard. We trying to put an
yeah,
urban farm back there, but we have to get back to the land.
yeah. Right. You ain't you're most definitely you're right. And I have seen how living here has. I mean, like I'm talking about our grandparents. A lot of our grandparents are deceased, no longer here. But we have gotten used to canned goods. We got used to going to a grocery store and buying
Hmm.
what we need. But now we put that power in Babylon's hands to feed us. So
Hmm.
Babylon said, you know what? They gave us the power to feed them. We will feed them, all right. We're going to feed them. Now they want to talk about this lab grown meats. And then one of them, I know they said they have to add blood to it to give it flavor.
Mm.
That's a problem with me, brother. That's a problem with me. So, and then you got kids. Not even, no, I ain't gonna, hold on, let me back that up. Not even kids. You got grandparents that are looking at saying, no, I'm not gonna do no farming. They're used to this. You buy, you buy your food, move on about your business. But what you buy in is stuff that's not really conducive for you and your family's health. And we was the first ones they tested this on. We was the
Hmm.
first one. Now here we are. Um, at this time, with all of this uprising, nations, countries taking back their power that was ripped from them. What? And now you have awakening brothers, not just in the United States. We talking about on a global scale. They are awakening. Now they're saying we need to get back to the country, back where we're from. There, why do we have this mentality? Why is these brothers saying no? Africa is the place. You may have a few brothers, few uh, brothers out here talking about America is the promised land, which I don't hold no weight on that. You know, they reading a different Bible, it seems like. But when you look at it, you seeing these brothers who you never met before having the same mentality as you. Although we speak in different languages, we all over the world. You got brothers speaking that are Cuban brothers speaking Spanish. We all over the world. Now, but they still got this mentality. No, we need to get back to where we belong. Brother Fast Nichols said, we got to be put in an uncomfortable position in order for us to go back.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not lying.
Yes.
You think about all of, you know, the millionaires, even brothers and sisters who has hundreds and thousands of dollars. They got to be put in a place, in a position that's going to cause them to think, what is it going to take for you to recognize you need to get up out of here? And it's going to be something. You on mute, Rick.
Yeah. The dragon is letting them know. See, these attacks and things like that. You talk about the opposing sword. You know, it's not going to be a place to stay. And the ecological, and see, they always got, they've been spending everything. Oh, that's climate change. Oh, that's global warming. Or
But they
that's,
don't want to say
oh,
that's
never mind.
God's
We've always
judgment.
had storms this way. The judgments of God. This is
Yeah.
going to be a wretched place to stay. It's the whole country. It says everybody's going to be fleeing. He said everybody, the husbandman's going back to his land. Everybody, and those holdouts going to be, well, where is our land? Then they're going to be asking the question, well, how can we get back to Zion? Everybody got to leave. It's not just us. This place is toast.
Brother Minister Rick, hold that thought. Thank you, Sister Donna, for the gift. We definitely appreciate it. Family, we appreciate your gifts. That's how Q2A is supported. We're supported based off of the people. So we appreciate, what you give to this organization to keep this mission going. So I want to say again, thank you, Sister Donna, for your gift. All right, go ahead, brother Minister Rick. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you didn't. I was just finishing. See, the Most High is making our case for us. We
Mm-hmm.
really just have to listen to Him, and that because it's indisputable. I mean, it's been backed up. So the Bible talks about doing things with demonstration. He's given us demonstration. He's
Mm-hmm.
given us the signs and wonders. It's so everybody can see. Everybody can see. So it's only the people who are bringing a dissonant note are the people who have a vested interest in Babylon, who have benefited from Babylon, and those in Africa that benefit from Babylon are being deposed. And our Boule, Divine Nine, and all the things like that, they're still trying to sing the tune. But I think the litmus test will be this next election. You know, the opt out. How many opt out? They're just trying to drum us up and bringing these cases in. Let's rally to the party and everything like that. And the people going to like no. So that's the thing.
But then at the same time, they're supposed to be bringing in this second wave of staying at home or something because of some particular sickness or illness.
I think our people are not going to buy that lie as much. We lost a whole lot of people. Well, one thing, we lost a whole lot of conservative older people. I'm not a conservative older people, but a lot of those people got deleted in that pandemic, that plandemic. So and the lollipop. So our demographic is going lower, and people are just not gonna. They're not going for it, and they're bringing all the commemoratives, all the commemoration of the March on Washington. They're trying to sell us nostalgia and all these things like that. Whatever.
Just to throw us off, to get us.
The Emmett Till Memorial and all this. No, but there's all this symbolism that they want to do and stuff they throw on. Show me the money. It's the reparations. I believe the cry for reparations is legitimate, but Father Yah has hired Pharaoh's hired. He's not going to get up that way. I mean, we're going to get the we're going to get reparations, a nice parting gift. That's how it's going to come.
Well, so I always wondered about that. How what does that look like? Because in terms of a monetary value, I don't know how that would look unless it is literally diamonds, gold, silver, precious metals, things that are actually of that would be of worth. If you try to say, look, I'll write you a check, right? Here's your reparation, you can get a check, and then they stop payment, or it
Well,
bounces.
Karis, I was thinking bulldozers, backhoes,
Yeah, I'm
truck.
thinking that too.
I'm
Yeah,
thinking
Yeah,
hardware
yeah.
out there.
yeah.
No, no, no.
No,
I don't
you're
want. I
absolutely
don't want.
right.
I'm not a bling person. Give
Yeah,
me some
Yeah.
hardware. Let me drive some Peterbilts out of here. I'll
bingo.
take this thing here and stuff like this construction. Oh no, I get it. Hey, this gold mining equipment. I'll be needing this where I go. I'm taking
Exactly.
that.
Absolutely. And that's actually what I was thinking. I think we get too caught up on, the device, right? The device, which is money. And it's funny because in French, if you say it in French, the money is literally called devise, which is device for the most part. So, however, in terms of something of wealth, right, or wealth building, it is in my mind, equipment. It is in my mind, the gold and silver and precious metals.
If they
But
gave us if they gave us money now,
and
we spend it in Babylon. It would be a huge bonanza in Babylon. It
Man, let me
would
tell
bump
you
the
something.
economy back up.
I'll
oh,
probably
what?
be one that won't be doing that one. No, I don't think that would be me.
It wouldn't be you, but it'd be a whole lot of look. I'm a,
I
I'm,
mean, for the
I'm
ones that's yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying, Rick. Yeah, I mean, it would appear that they would, but like, I mean, I got to go back to Fast Nickel because he said you got to be put in an unpleasant position. You got to. Those black people got to. We got to have something opposite of how we living now. You hungry, go to the restaurant. When the restaurants start going out of business because uh loaf of bread is 500, who gonna be eating at the restaurant? They got to go out of business. Now you got to be put in an uncomfortable. It appears that way. We got
well,
to be in order for us to wake up to see the
it's
real
going.
market in.
Well, they've been burning these food production plants and all these things like that. They're doing. I mean, the Bible says the next horseman is this famine. So yeah, they're going to be all. You're not going to have this thing. They're destroying crops. During the pandemic, they were destroying cattle. All these excuses, destroying things like that. They're subtly they're setting you up for famine anyway because they want you to beg for the chip. So it's happening. So the discomfort is coming, but the thing is, in the midst of that discomfort, who's going to be pointing the way? Who's going to? It says we're going to be crying, talking about show me the way to Zion. So who's going to be the compass or the people show me this way to Zion? You know, we're still trying to. I'm going to tell you, I'm still looking over there. But exactly. I kind of think it's on that east side of Africa, all in that whole area down there where the Bantu people are there, and where they say the cradle of civilization was. I think it's in that area.
Now
But
that's one thing they will recognize. They'll tell you. I mean, me and Karen sat down and we spoke with these brothers, man. Like, no, we Bantu. They know this, but that's the furthest they go with it. That's the furthest they go with it. But they'll tell you, no, we Bantu. You
Get
know,
sorry. Let me interject. If you would like to support Quest to Unite Africa, please visit questuniteafrica.org. Questuniteafrica.org. If you are sending any cash apps to Covenant Awakenings, that is different. Please visit questuniteafrica.org, so then your donation can then be tax deductible. What you send to Covenant Awakenings is a gift. It is not tax deductible. Covenant Awakenings and Quest Unite Africa are exclusively, or we're independent. Okay, so please understand that. I want to make sure people understand that Quest Unite Africa is a nonprofit organization that is a 501c3 pending. Okay, So I want you to be aware that your gifts, your donations to Quest to Unite Africa is done through the website. That way we can be able to collect the information so that when our 501c3 comes in, we can then notify you that what you have given has now been, deemed by the IRS as a tax deduction when our determination letter comes in. So please be aware of that. Okay. For Quest Unite Africa discussions, these are the pushes for our funding drives, as well as our popcorn fundraisers and cookie dough fundraisers. So, please visit to learn about that and get your popcorn and cookie dough today. All right. Sorry for that.
Mm. No, I mean, we will have to be put in an uncomfortable position, and we've been spoiled, as y'all said in the scriptures. We've been spoiled about with this, our surroundings. I mean, we've been spoiled. A lot of it been force fed, um, as well as the brothers and sisters in the European lands. And
Hmm.
so you got brothers here that got money. They able to purchase this or purchase that. But when the collapsing of a system where you depend upon, man, where your livelihood depend upon a paper dollar, and that collapse, you think you got millions of dollars in the bank, bruh. Did you not just say the Saudis has signed up with BRICS, Rick?
Yep. We've been working. See, we think you got the people. Richard Pryor once had a joke line. He says, "I understand the white man. I understand the system." It was a wino speaking. That's why I'm in the position I'm in today. You know, we think a lot of us think we go to universities and things like that to learn how to work the Babylonian system. We can work the system and to work the system, and it works just like a casino. As soon as somebody gets the system that beats the casino, they change the rules. They add more cards to the deck. They do things. So we really have to fail. We bottom line, we have to be driven to our knees to cry out for the Most High.
Hmm.
Then the supernatural help comes. That's what it is. We've been dependent. We've been sidled up to this system. But I look back to when Babylon fell. At the time, the Mede, the Persians were coming in, and they asked Daniel to come to read the writing on the wall, and they offered me, and they offered him all kind of money, and Daniel wasn't hurting for money. He said, "No, you keep that money. This
Hmm.
is what it is." And the Medes and Persians came in, and he still prospered in that system. And in fact, he actually had enough money to finance the Messiah. He had his men years later carrying money to finance the Messiah, to give him the signs, and they showed up. And it wasn't three of them; it was a whole military column with a whole bunch of people. So that's what I'm saying. Once we unplug from Babylon and can and work our own system. See, we one thing about Quest Unite Africa, we have to trade among ourselves. The things that we did under Jim Crow. Jim Crow, in some ways, was a blessing because it forced us to trade with ourselves. Now we got to relearn how to trade with ourselves, build our own systems and things like that,
And
and and get out of this integration that disintegrated the Black
yes.
Wall Street. They burnt Black Wall Street, but integration disintegrated Black Wall Street.
Now you just said it. We gotta separate ourselves now. Have you noticed you've been looking at the commercials lately? Look at the
Uh,
commercials on TV. You will always see not. I mean, I'm seeing more of a black man, and you'll see a white woman.
oh yeah,
They've been,
but
but at first they were showing white men and black women, but now they starting to show. I mean, dark skinned black men. These just not no, you know, like mixed brothers and sisters. This is a dark skin. I'm like, alrighty, I see what they're doing. I
bread
see
out,
what they're doing.
bread out.
Yes. And I'm like, okay, all right, I see what they're doing. They want to make like we all are one, this little kumbaya thing that's going on. But then now when you start speaking on it, they say, well, you being a bias or prejudice. But then at the same time, when you wake up, you go by what scriptures say that, hey, You belong to Israel. You must marry Israel into Israel.
Well,
Now you got these group of people that's living that because we were taught that Israel was done away with. This is what we was taught. We believe this stuff here, and we did. We had brothers and sisters around here marrying other nationalities, and we thinking it's good. I mean, we trying to blend in with other people. We trying to be. No, they made it difficult in those days. Why all of a sudden they making it like they want to make like it's so easy for you to
Oh, well,
blend in
yeah,
with
that's well, I look at it like this. Remember now, that is literally the genetic escape plan. That's the
it?
genetic escape plan. If you really want to be honest with it, right? That's what they are. That's what they're doing. That's that is the agenda. We just had never seen how the agenda was really had unfolded at that time, in our time that we weren't awakened. You get what I'm telling you? That
Right.
and let's not be naive about what we carry in our bloodline. Because when we carry in our bloodline, there's a lot of European blood mixed up in us too,
yeah,
from
yeah,
from plantation chattel slavery.
yeah,
So
yeah.
remember, they tried to make a class with mulatto class
Yeah.
and have that as a buffer class. So let's understand that there's always been that particular subset to be able to, um, not just control the masses per se, but to be able to have, well, look, this is post racial, post racism, post all that other, um, yada yada. Do you see what
Well,
I'm saying?
you
Go
got
ahead.
to see back in our gene. Well, you look at old Uncle Judah. Don't marry outside your people. He couldn't wait to marry a Canaanite. And come to find out when it's still and the Most High was taking his sons out. You know, they were supposed one would die and the next one was supposed to come and hit the Hebrew woman, things like that. And God orchestrated where he wound up impregnating his daughter-in-law to keep the
Hmm.
seed straight. But we were
Hmm.
knuckleheads from the beginning with that messing with. Couldn't wait to get somebody outside. That's
Well,
what
that was the time she
Judah.
posed. She posed as a prostitute, right?
Yeah, she
Hmm.
posed. She posed as a prostitute, and God used it as a way. And he was getting. She turned up pregnant. And he was getting ready, getting to take her out. Look at you, so and so. And then she showed him, hey, that was you. Gave Miss Cain. But God had to do that to preserve the line of the Messiah. And this is
Hmm.
like Judas. So I mean, we got a jacked up family. it, it didn't just start now. I mean, we had that. We got issues.
Well, I
God,
mean, but think about what
made
David. Think about what David. You
Oh
know what I'm
yeah,
saying? With Bathsheba. I mean, you know, she was a
Bathsheba
Canaanite.
and Solomon with all them Solomon trying to be just think, I mean, we got some people in our lives, and God, you look in the book of Hosea where God just told the prophet, go to marry a hoe, because I'm gonna show you what you like, you know. So God
Hmm.
said, Israel, you a hoe, Israel. Look, I'm showing you this is what it is. This is how I feel. So I mean, we got quite a family. That just shows the glory of God. You use God and say, well, hey, I can just take any people. I can even take these crazy folks and bring the Messiah through, show my greatness. That's how he shows forth his glory. He said, were you the mightiest nation when I picked you up? I'll take these little generic people and make them great. So it is what it is.
Hallelujah. Sister Nissa, thank you for the gift. Hallelujah. Appreciate it.
It's
So, yeah.
it's you know, I mean, it's we living in we are witnessing 24-hour live TV. That's what
Hmm.
we are witnessing today. you know, it's always something happening, and it's happening on more. It's happening a whole lot. Now, I know I talked to you, Karis, about this, but I think it's going eventually. This Yellowstone, I think Yellowstone is going to get a little bit more news coverage because they seeing a lot. They seeing a danger with that particular park, national park,
Yeah,
because that's a volcano.
The super volcano.
A
It,
super volcano. And I did not know that thing was connected all the way to Arkansas.
yeah, it is. That's what I'm saying. They talk about all their might and their nuclear and things like that. And God wants to take this nation out. He don't have to use the Russian army. He could what? East Coast tsunami, Canary Islands tsunami. That Canary Islands fault, if it slides in the water, then you got an East Coast tsunami. That's taking out the East Coast. Sorry about that, Floridians and everybody over there. And you got
Yep.
tsunami on the West Coast. Okay, California, crazy stuff. That's gone. And pull a cork on Yellowstone. No more United States. And New Madrid fault. Knock out the Midwest. God has no problem just through natural means if he want to take a place out. He's not. He don't need the agency of these people, the Russians or the Chinese. But the Bible says, I don't know how he's gonna do it. He said nobody gonna be able to stay there. So he may just do that. So at the end of the day, I know how to get you Negroes out. I know where you're going, but you won't stay here. So he got no problem with us. He don't. We was gone. In fact, everybody else will get the memo. We're going to have to leave because we're going to see everybody leaving. It says the husband and the people, they will all return to their land. And we're going to, where's the way to Zion? So the stragglers, hey, God has no problem. His word, God is not a man that he should lie. His will, his kingdom come, his will be done. So we will comply.
Yeah, I mean, you send a place where you can't hardly live here. Yeah, you go get them and do something. I mean, we're going to be put in a position, and at the same time, I know some of the brothers saying in the comment, we're going to leave with a great sustenance. That's true. But I don't think. I mean, we can, however we want to see what great riches or whatever that may be. I think that using. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
The concept of wealth, we got to change. See, we got these Babylonian concepts of wealth.
Yeah.
They know that the wealth, I see the wealth, I see the people. That's the wealth. When I see the children, see, if Africa is the wealthiest country. Yeah, they got all the resources, but they have the best demographics in the whole world. They have more young people. You see, this Western system is a Ponzi scheme. You're supposed to have all the Social Security and all these pension systems. It was impinging on having more babies born and more young people feeding into a system, a pyramid scheme at the top, and you have fewer older people, and that'll work on all your pensions and all your systems and all your Medicare, these systems will work on that. So what do they start? So when you start killing the babies, okay, then it's unbalanced. And that's where Europe is, that's where much of the world is. And then okay, you got to start euthanizing the old people, which you may be doing with the lollipop and different things like that. So I'm saying it's unsustainable. The only people sustainable with the true wealth, when the Most High talks about blessing us, he's talking about blessing the fruit of the womb and blessing having a bunch of babies and stuff like that. That's wealth. I see the people. I mean, I look at gold. It doesn't, gold and that means nothing to me. When I see the people and the children and the families, and that's the thing. We have to build families. So what has Babylon done? It's fractured our family. It's told our women that you don't need a man. Incarcerated our men and do things like that. And talking about, that's toxic. A man trying to lead his family, that's toxic masculinity. But what we have in our community is chaotic femininity. Mm-hmm. And that's the chaos there. That's what I preach to the funeral when I would teach to the young man's mother and things like that. This is the situation. We have to, the first original man was a black man and a black woman. And we started off wrong. He wasn't the spiritual leader, so he let a Nakash, another spirit, preach to his wife. And she went off and believed it was attracted to that. He should have checked it immediately. No, God didn't say that. I was there. He didn't do that. So we're out of balance. So what we have to do is, as black men, when we become spiritual leaders, we become the one that's going to the bringing the Most High. Then we'll become leaders of our family. We can't do that in the world, in the flesh. We have to do that in the spirit. And the women gravitate to the spirit. And then we'll get our families in balance. And we can knit families together. We knit communities together. And then we build up, but it ain't going to be here. Ultimately, together to move out. Because it says the he-goats are going to lead the flock out of Babylon. We got to raise up some he-goats. And literally, they literally feminized the men here. They put atrazine, they put this pesticide in there that was changing the frogs, the sex of the frogs that were swimming in this stuff. So you see all this, so you act like people happy. We got so much feminine hormones pumped into us, and the feminine hormones are not even good for the women. They're getting breast cancer and all this stuff from
Yep.
all the huge feminine hormones and stuff. So these people are doing chem lab stuff on us. The stuff in the water. So I mean, nothing good in Babylon. They've been poisoning us with the food stuff they can't even use halfway around the world. So ain't nothing good about this place. When we get, like you said, when you went to Africa and started eating real food, your system just revolted and to get back on real food off of this poison we had here.
Everything about us, man, is chemicals here in the United States. Chemicals, everything. I mean, anyway, and especially with the young generation now that's coming up, chips, cookies. You just do some research on a lot of that stuff. You can find out, man, this stuff is. I'm trying to figure out how in the world we still walking. How are we still walking? But this is what they were doing. But one thing I seen though, they did this thing, and I forgot this sister's name, but her kids have a lawsuit against, I believe it's against the United States, where they took her blood and
did all the cancer research with her blood. They did the original research on that.
Yes, yes,
I know about that. Yeah,
yes. That right there speaks volumes. It speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was actually against Johns Hopkins University, for the improper use of collecting that DNA afterwards. But they want to make it sound nice and friendly, that hey, well, it was able to save all these folks, and it helped with all these cancer medications and things of that nature. But it's like, but you never credited the person you took that from. But you get what I'm saying. Everything that we have contributed, literally, we've contributed our blood, sweat, and tears, and literally
Literally blood.
contributed blood. you know
Mhm.
so these are a lot of the it's not, to us now, any truth that may be coming on out, it's not going to be surprising. Any truth that, and it's not the truth that's going to be coming out, it's this: any truth that will be published by mainstream, for us, will not be surprising.
I think.
I think we've uncovered a lot of the truth on out there. We've spoken about a lot of the truth. It's just going to be whether or not they want to formally accept the truth, formally publish the truth, and that's where we're at in this society. Because, to be honest, really they can no longer sustain the lie. So they're going to have to start telling the truth, because even with all these movies that they want to have on out there, that they want to get on out, even feel good movies, that, oh well, it has a good sense, a good title, a good theme, but then we will look at it and we'll tear it apart and be like, well, why don't you tell the truth about how we got to this? Don't tell us about how we came on up out of the muck and the mire, and it's a feel good how we came up. Why don't you explain why we still have the systematic issues of what keeps us in the mire to this very day? And nobody wants to really explain that. But then they want to say, well, it's your fault because you don't vote. No, it's systematic. This thing was here since we got off the boat.
well, Psalm 83 conspiracy. And it's
Exactly.
been going. And you look at, look at that football player, the blind side. They totally exploited that brother
Hmm.
and took everything and made them look like heroes in the movie. And they told him he's fighting to get his thing back. Lied on his mother, lied, impugned his family, everything like that. So I mean, this is what they do. I mean, it's chattel slavery. That's cattle slavery. That's what you are. And I'm trying to, and you can, and when you look at cattle management, that's how we're still managed. And I talk about the sister, a lot of our sisters, they try and make them the face of all these old crazy things like that. But why?
Mhm.
Why do you do that? He had that phrase. They're a cow to the system. In chattel slavery, these women, they're cows. That's what they are. So you got the phrase. You can be cowed into anything. They're
Mhm.
cowing our women into doing that. They marry these white men and they get in these positions on the Supreme Court or things like that, and they're leading the charge for the Alphabet Brigade and all the things, the perversion on our people. You know, because but they got to suppress the bulls. That's what I learned about. You got a dairy farm in the family. You know, the bulls. You got to suppress the bulls because the bulls will not let you milk the cows. Well, guess
Yeah,
what? The bulls are rising up, and they say our young men on the street like a bull caught in the net. The bulls are trying to get loose. We just got to give them some direction, and they're going to charge. And the he goats are going to lead us out of Babylon. But we got to flip this script on this whole gender thing because they cowing our women into mess.
I think that if you look at history and how a lot of black women just come up missing, why? And they never find them. They never find these black women. We had one sister from Chicago. Worked at the post office. She was pregnant. They still haven't found their sister. She's
Mhm.
20 some years old. I don't know 20 some year old woman with a child coming missing. You know, so and I know how valuable our sisters are. And when I say valuable, listen to me. If it wasn't for black women, a lot of these women today will be dead.
Mhm.
They have some type of sickness that they cannot control but it's that black woman who has a gene in her system that can help this person out.
Mhm.
Make
I
make no
seriously believe. I seriously believe. Yah said in the last days, all the undoings of Satan's system would be known. Man, it would not surprise me to see a lot of our sisters in some type of facility where they up there doing tests and everything on them, trying to understand what Yah has created and why he put all of this in this particular woman.
Well, she's the original woman that everything had to come out of that original one woman that she was a black woman. The thing with our women that we don't understand is, and people mix it up with sexual, is she's a COO. She's the chief operating officer. Adam was a CEO, and he couldn't find any help to help him intellectually with the work, cataloging all the animals on the planet and the work God. He said he couldn't find anybody to help him. So God made him a COO. He made somebody equal in his intellect to help him with the intellectual.
Mhm.
But God made her a friend with benefits. But the whole thing was Adam was not pondering, looking at the animals and pondering for a mate or looking for thinking about bestiality. No, he wasn't. He was the fullness of mankind. He was there with the Savior because I put that challenge to God. He explained it to me. I was a single man. How do you expect me to keep myself as a single man? And Adam couldn't even keep himself in the garden. He said, "Hey, wait a minute, fella. The word says that God said it wasn't good that he was alone. Adam wasn't. It was Adam was cool. So what Adam didn't say, oh God, oh my bad, I made a mistake. Let me go get some more dirt and make somebody else. No, Adam was the fault. He took the woman out of him. He was perfection of God. He was made directly from God, and he took the woman out of him. And when he saw the woman, what did he say? Bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. He just amputated half of your body out there, and you wanted it back. So we've been trying to connect with our body parts ever since. But the woman and they use the black. That's why they use the black woman, all these Supreme Court systems like that, because our sisters can operate. They just not have been operating for
Mhm.
our families and for our men and for our people. They've been co-opted out since Asatan co-opted Eve. So when they get working for us, see, white male supremacy is white female supremacy because Kyle is working with Karen. They don't split. And a lot of the sisters, they try to get them in the feminist movement and things like that. No, the white There is no dichotomy. White male supremacy is white female supremacy. Because when the white man kicks off, they got these female heiresses and stuff. I run it and maintain this whole system. It's the same thing. So we have to get together. We have to join together. We have to bind our families together, our men and women together. Get all this crazy seducing spirits and doctrines of demons off our women and off our people, and live as God has told us. And then we'll build the families. And then the he goes. Then we out of here.
Yeah. They just one brother said, I looked it up. 48 killed in East Congo. And they said that the soldiers cracked down on a religious sect planning to demonstrate against the United Nations.
What?
Yeah, I kid you
my
not. I'm just
goodness.
looking at it now, bro. I'm not. We think this, and we thinking this stuff is just happening haphazardly. No, this is not. Then I just said something about the Congo.
Yep. He sure did. On this conversation, on this channel, right now, in this conversation, and this live stream, you literally said that about 30 minutes ago. And look at what the news is reporting. And that's what I'm saying. This thing is so dynamic, family, that look, if you don't think that what happened in the continent directly affect you, you are mistaken. What happens
Very.
on that continent directly affects you. Because why? Because let me kind of give you this graphic. The graphic is the loss of resources in Africa creates the loss of resources in the West, which creates a loss of resources directly in America, which creates a fear and a panic amongst our Gentiles. And then that fear and that panic then creates an aggression, which leads to murder. And that aggression is always going to look towards us because invariably it was our brothers and sisters that took away the resources that caused the discomfort. See, for the discomfort and being uncomfortable, there's two choices. For us, when we're uncomfortable, we just, it is what it is. We just sit on down somewhere and ask the Most High to work. For them, they trust and they believe in their sword. He that what? He
Live by
that
the sword.
kills, shall do what? Shall die by it.
Yep.
And they live by the sword. They live by it.
Deeply.
You know what? This is why when you understand the deep-seated meaning of Christianity and the Roman, what it is, it's religion. You better understand what that cross actually is. That's the story for another day. But we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna start wrapping this on up as we pray for those that lost. 48 killed for what? For a religious demonstration. I wonder what that religious demonstration was.
That's what I was wondering, bro. I was wondering this. I was wondering the same thing.
I wonder if, I'm just speculating here. Could it be that they were proclaiming who they were as a people? I would love to get that story and get those details. But in order for that to happen, I gotta probably talk to brother Mike's boss in Tanzania.
See, you know what? You know, See now, you're playing now. You just started early in the morning. We were going in good. No, we were going good.
I
We
thought
got
what happens in Africa stays in Africa.
Mm-mm.
Brother Mike, did you report to your boss this in that
Yeah.
their afternoon? You better, you better let them know you're running late for work.
All right. You keep on putting me out there like that. You know, you mentioned I see this video. Oh, his brother. No, oh, all right. You don't recognize I'm in. All right, man. Please, no. Mm-mm. But I mean,
Oh,
I it's going to take us. It's the way y'all set it up, the way he got things set up. This is going to be a move that's going to be. They can't even they the nations can't even comprehend how Yah is going to move. Put things in place, and everything go fall according to His will in place.
hmm
In place. You know, yeah, I know. We talking about we gonna leave with a whole lot of substance and great riches and all that. That could be education, like brother Walter was saying. He said it could be education. And it may be some material things, but I think that for me, to be living to survive is great riches. They give you another day on the continent for you to start doing things anew. Mingling with your brothers on the continent. You know, uh, we have seen so much. We have seen so much demon activities. It's becoming it's getting to a point where it's being played. It's just like I'm just sick and tired of all of this demonic influence. You just want to see now. You want to see the originator, the original creator of all things. Let him do his thing. That's what the world is. I mean, some people have in their hearts. It's for Yah to really do your thing, bring in your kingdom.
Well,
Because he's, it's not going to be no that talking about this here and that there. No, Yah, he don't shy away from nobody. He don't sit up here and cover up something to keep away from you. He'll let you. You seen what he did to Israel. He said, and he tell the nations, my people are a stiff-necked, disobedient people. I discipline them. Yes, I killed some of them. So he'll let the nations know what he did. And keep it moving. And that's the thing I be looking at, bro. I'm like, this here talking about 48 people killed, 75 people were wounded. I just really want to get into that a little bit deeper to find out. And it was against the United Nations.
Well, like the scripture says, every day we are called as lambs to slaughter, but even so, we are more than conquerors. This blood, the scripture says, the blood defiles the land, and it cannot be redeemed except by the blood who has slain. We know we have the blood of Yeshua to do that. So I mean, this thing is set up spiritually. See, we see the natural too much. This is like demon central. I mean, this is feeding blood. I mean, it's satanic worship. It's blood sacrifices being made of all these lives in this land. And those souls are crying under the altar in heaven, crying out to God, to the Most High. How long? When will you avenge us? So it's a thing. See, we don't think we have these Western thoughts. We don't think spiritually of what's going on. So I think that as we get our wisdom, we just have to follow. We just have to be online with Yeshua. We have to say, he said he had promised that he would send his spirit and he would be with us and in us. So we really have to keep our vessels, do not defile our vessels. We're literally temple. Go on and follow that spirit. That's all we got to do. We have to follow the spirit. You know, the human race, the human people, we are AI. That's what God did. He created artificial intelligence. He created intelligence outside of him that had options they could choose for itself. But he gave his best case that and let us choose. So now he's bringing that all back into authority. So when we get in the land, wealth won't be a thing because hey, we're not going to own it. 50 years, it all goes back anyway. It's not like you're going to be able to accumulate all this wealth. If you get it and you make it off the people and things like that, guess what? God has a portion of, year of Jubilee, give it all back, reboot, you know. So this Western concept of wealth is a generational wealth. No, you couldn't get wealth past the generation because every generation it'd be a year of Jubilee. So it would go back everybody. You couldn't have generationally wealth and generationally poor. You would be everybody would be generationally sustainable. And that was Yah's system. We got into capitalism, which was the worship of capital, and we think still in those things of having the wealth. You know, Yah's perspective is I own it all. So you don't own nothing. You here on a timeshare. You know, you got time. That's what you get. You're in and out. So you own what you came in with and what you can take what you leaving here. That's what you own. So there it is. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, brother Minister Rick. Brother Mike, anything before I shut this on down?
Yeah, it's going to get harder for us. The thing is, we really truly have to. We got to fight now. You literally have to fight to stay focused.
Mm-hmm.
You got to. I mean, when when the Messiah said, "Love Yah with your whole heart, mind, and soul," it's at that point now. It's like everything that you do need to be. You got to be calling on Yah because the devil will bring in some type of thinking that you're not even thinking about, and you're like, why in the world that crossed my mind? Mm-hmm. You got to literally be on guard now. You got to. And if you start taking it for granted, you find yourself sucked up into his system, believing everything that they put out there. The news is going to tell you so much, but there's a whole other reality behind what the news is saying. Mm-hmm. We got to stay on the watch. Keep your head on the swivel. You got respect your brothers and sisters. Out of all of what Israel has been through from day one down to this day. When I say day one, we're talking about from the time that Jacob and his kids was born. Up to this particular time, we went through a lot. Read the Bible. Go through through what they call the Old Testament. Bring it up to this day. We went through a lot, and here we are at this final phase of slavery, captivity. Here we are, this generation, seeing these things come before our faces. We're that generation. Mm-hmm. We are that generation. And we must stay focused if we really want to see the grand scheme of things, seeing how Yah will glorify his great and holy name and showing the world that he truly loves Israel and has always loved Israel. Israel just needed to be disciplined. And he showed the world. This is how I discipline my people. And if you go come in up under my people, if you don't be obedient, this is the stuff you're going to suffer. My people have led the way in their discipline. And for the Gentiles out there, yeah, we ask for donation because we right here, we tell you the truth. We show you what this world is about. And if you are a person that is an awakening Gentile, we welcome you. We do. But at the same time, we all got to stay on point. We all have to stay on point. And I hand it back to you, Brother Karras.
All right. Thank you, Brother Mike. All right. I'm not going to lie. Let me put them in the back. This has been to me. The enemy has literally just been fighting me on this internet stream for this whole broadcast. But I thank the Most High that we got through it today. We'll be back next week for Quest Unite Africa discussions. Again, family is it's dynamic on the continent. It is very dynamic, and just as this news story had broken, thank you, Sister Echo Bella, for the new Indian Express story with the UN allegedly. I'm going to say allegedly, peacekeepers allegedly killed 48 folks demonstrating in a religious sect. That's a lot of people. That's a slaughter right there. This is why it's important. This is very important of why we want to connect with our people. It definitely your support in your prayers for Quest Unite Africa. But it's not going to get any better. It's not going to get any better. But what we can do is do the work that the Most High has placed in our hearts. So again, thank you for those that have provided. Thank you for those that pray for us. For anything that you can do to support what the Most High leads you to when He puts on your heart. That's all we ask for. But my question is going to be, what's going to happen between now and next week? That's always the question. So I guess we'll stay tuned and we'll pay attention and see what happens. So be encouraged. Be encouraged. This is everything shaping up wide. And again, listening, this isn't to trash you or demean you, but it's to give you understanding. Because if you understand what's going on, at least you have a chance. Would you rather be lied to your face about destruction, or would you want to be told the truth? And sometimes the truth hurts. But I'd rather stand on that day and tell my Heavenly Father, I told him the truth, even with what it cost me. I told the truth. Even at the peril, I told the truth. It's up to you all to accept it. Because now, this wherever we're going to, we're getting there closer and closer, day by day. So with that said, family, most time willing, I'll be back on Monday. Monday in the United States is Labor Day. So we'll see what I'll see how we're gonna change up the format for for Labor Day. Have something fun themed. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. So with that said, family, again, if you'd like to contribute, please visit unite quest the number 2 unite Africa with a.org. Please also support our popcorn fundraiser, and it's good popcorn, and our cookie dough fundraiser, which is going on right now. So, with that said, family, most time willing, I will be back on Monday. And with that, shalom, salama, siemi, shalom. Peace and blessings, Yasharel.